A lot is said about maintaining the character of Cohasset. How would you describe the character of Cohasset?
I always tell people it's kind of like out of a Norman Rockwell painting, very quintessential New England. Lovely coastal town with a wonderful historic history and a wonderful place to raise your family. One of the highest towns in Massachusetts with open and green space, something that Cohasset is very proud of. A town with a real sense of community where people get involved. That's why we are all here and running for public office, because we love our town and we want to serve it. That is well known around the state. It is a place that has wonderful schools and wonderful services that the town has, and you can raise your family and have a wonderful life in Cohasset. This is why my wife and I moved here after we got married. We really were looking for a place. I'm originally from Boston, and I knew the town of Cohasset, and these are things that motivated us to come here.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up question because we have a little extra time.
Sure.
Do you think that character is under threat?
Growth is going to happen. By the nature of where we live and the time we live in, growth is going to happen. We have to manage that effectively. I would love to see a master plan. The town has it. I've seen part of it. I don't fully understand it, but I'd like to see some more concentration on a master plan. Not to say that that is an inflexible document, but this will help us to prioritize budget items, will help us to focus on things that are important to everybody as a community. And the community should buy into this. So are we a threat? Certainly not. If we manage the process well, we will be the same town that Cohasset had always been.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roger.
I'm going to answer your questions in reverse. I think the town is under siege. The things like Avalon coming in are a very difficult thing to deal with. There are things happening, the Cook Estate, Avalon, Cedarmere. These are planned zoning bylaw changes that are now sunsetting. And you know, from living here for 45 years, I've seen a number amount of changes, and not all of them are good. Some of them are you know, wonderful, that the character is staying the same. The common has looked the same for 200 years, and some of the buildings, the museums downtown are just wonderful, wonderful buildings, but there is a tremendous amount of development going on. And getting back to the Avalon, we're getting a 10% increase in the housing with one building permit. And that's too much for a small town like us to swallow. So we need to start being a little bit more concerned about seeing these big developments going in. Then, like I said earlier about the senior housing, these tracts of land are disappearing. We don't have these big pieces of land that you can put in subdivisions or you know, 10, 12, 14 homes. But when land is worth more than the value of the home, people are starting to knock down these wonderful farmhouse-looking houses and putting up huge, huge houses, and they don't fit in these neighborhoods. You see these small house here, a small house here, and then this absolute monster in the middle of them. And I don't think that is smart growth.
Okay. What's the best part, quickly, of Cohasset to you?
Harbor.
Okay.
Roger, let me just follow up on that. So we had a bylaw that got voted down a little while ago on the demolition bylaw.
Yes.
That sounds like the kind of thing that you're saying we should have in place.
The demolition bylaw was a good bylaw. It did not stop the process from happening. It was a 6-month breather. It let people take a step back and maybe think of alternative ways of, and what that bylaw was really aimed at was trying to preserve historic homes, or you will always get the person who's going to say, no, this is my plans and this is what I'm going to do. And you can't stop them from doing that. I mean, that's their right. It would just be nice to preserve some of these neighborhoods and keep them the way they are for a lot longer. You know, and you can't stop them. I think all you can do is slow them down.
So would you like to see something like that demolition bylaw come back?
Oh, without a doubt.
How about you, Ted?
You know, it's funny. I think historical preservation in the town is paramount. It has to happen. It has to be a priority. it just goes back to a master plan. If you're going to have some sustainable growth, you should have a master plan. Cohasset had one of the first master plans, a subdivision plan in 1670 that provided the 5 acres of the common that we have today, and we've stuck through to that. I would point out, Roger brings up a very good point. The one thing about Avalon that makes me very nervous, and I learned this from my time at the Department of Housing and Urban Development, is its physical location. It is separated by a very busy road, and what is unique about Cohasset is its sense of community. And if that is going to happen, I would worry that they are a little isolated in terms of their physical location and being part of the town's community.
Is the train going to have the same effect once that comes in?
Well, you know, the train is coming. That's something, it's happening. We have to prepare for it. But, you know, other than it runs through the middle of the town, I don't think it really separates the town. I feel very strongly that it's something that is going to happen, and it's here, and we have to take advantage of things that we can with the train. But no, I think it does not cut down on our sense of community.
Is the train going to ruin the character of this town?
I think it's going to destroy it. I'm really sad. The old train, it was different. It wasn't the same as what you think now was. And another thing that bothers me, and I know this was a very, very sensitive subject at the time, that by the train not being able to stop downtown, you have to get in your car to get to the train anyway. And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on other things like the boat. The commuter boat's a wonderful way to get to the city. And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on the boat, and I hope it doesn't put it out of business. My fear, honestly, about the train is safety. I have a 6-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old in the school system, and now by law, for the next 11 years, he has to cross the train tracks twice a day, no matter what, unless I move to the other side. And that really, really, really scares me. Not, you know, I mean, the concept of, you know, going over the tracks, but there are going to be kids down there. It's going to go through town. There's going to be nothing to stop it from the old Winter Garden skating rink down to North Situate. And it's a no-horn, you know, they're not going to blow the horn the entire way to keep down on the sound. So nobody's going to know it's coming except for the gates coming down.
Last word on the character of Cohasset to you, Ted.
It's a wonderful, charming place, and I think it will remain that way for a long time. I would point out, though, I absolutely agree on the safety issues around the train. The train has made certain upgrades to their design since its beginning. For instance, extended gates, wrought iron fences that will last a long time. But yes, safety is an issue. Just like my children getting hurt at home, crossing the train tracks is a big issue to us, especially having a 3-year-old who's in love with every train he sees. So it will be a natural draw for young children, and it's something that every parent should be aware of.
Thanks, Ted.
Okay.